Hello and greetings. Thank you so much for tuning in to another show of Africa Outlook. I'm very happy to be here again with a wonderful show for you. We've been talking about a lot of different cultures in Germany, in Hamburg, and in the world, but today we're going to concentrate on the people of African American descent and their contributions to our wonderful world. Schönen guten Tag und vielen Dank, dass Sie hier eingeschaltet sind bei Africa Outlook. Heute konzentrieren wir an der Beiträge von Leuten mit African American Herkunft. Jetzt zu meiner ganz linken Seite habe ich, glaube ich, die älteste oder eine von den ältesten African American citizens here living in Hamburg, Ms. Iris Moore. Unter anderem from America, you've always worked as an activist in NAACP and the United Nations, all the way here working with African heritage. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. And then on this side here, we have Jonah Mayer. And I think you might be one of the youngest African Americans who decided to live in Hamburg.
That's right.
You're a performer, one of the lead singers on the Aida ship. So you're kind of like, you know, the young one, the young blood in the house.
That's right.
And then we have someone who's actually not as young as you are, but he's in his young years living in Hamburg. You've only been here
This is the beginning of my fifth year.
The beginning of your fifth year. Producer, songwriter, singer, actor, Marshall Titus is here today for some discussion and, of course, to show his fabulous R&B voice. But I'd like to start with our elder over here, Iris. I've known you for many, many years, and I just thank you that you took the time to be on the show. You're from Brooklyn, New York, and you've been in Europe over 40 years.
Yes.
You started as an activist and a worker with the NAACP and United Nations, working with bridges between America and Afrika. So als Brückenschlag zwischen Amerika und Afrika, schon in Amerika haben Sie gearbeitet.
Yes.
But now you've been in Hamburg and you're one of the founders of a wonderful organization that's called African Heritage. Tell me a little bit about that work that you've done.
Yes, well, it was an extension, surely, of what I did in the United States. And being in show business, I came in contact with many others. And there was a meeting of a very fine young lady, Audrey Montang. And we came to a decision. Our entertainment wasn't enough, but we also must have interest in the young people who are coming to this country to live, to study, and be a part of the society.
So mit Audrey Montang aus South Africa, one of our very, very much revered, unsere ganz berühmten Trommeler, Sänger und Aktivisten mit dir damals bei African Heritage. Ihr habt gesehen, dass Entertainment war nicht genug, um diese Informationen über Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft zu verbreiten. So, Sie haben oft mit Audrey, mit den Jugendlichen gearbeitet, auch denen zu informieren, wie sie sich ausbilden können in unterschiedlichen Fächern.
Exactly.
Und Sie haben die richtig durch und durch immer unterstützt.
Exactly. Many of the young people, of course, were born in this country. Their parents came here to work to make a better standard of life. But the children being born here, having a situation between different languages, basically German as their first language, and then to learn the language of their parents from wherever they were coming.
Ja, und die Leute kommen von überall aus Afrika, normalerweise um gute Arbeit zu finden, um ein besseres Leben zu führen zu können mit dessen Kindern. Aber natürlich die Herausforderung, Deutsch, die Sprache zu beherrschen, die müssen auch die eigene Muttersprache parallel dazu weiter damit benutzen, zu kommunizieren. Viele Leute wissen nicht, Iris, nicht, dass ich glaube, in den späteren 1800 und 1900, die Leute sind hier gekommen, wie Sie gesagt haben, für eine bessere Leben zu führen und Arbeit, aber oft dürfen die nur diese Minderheitsarbeit machen. Das in zum Beispiel Eisenbahngesellschaft haben die gearbeitet, die dürften sich da ausbilden lassen oder in der Post. Aber oft mussten die in den Entertainment-Bereich bleiben. um dessen Würde zu behalten, aber dann auch Geld zu verdienen. So, man wollte sich ausbilden, aber wegen der Sprachprobleme, das hat gedauert. Das wird jetzt besser. Yes. Das wird viel, viel besser. Und ich glaube, das ist eigentlich ein großes Liegen von Ihnen, dass die Leute, die Deutschland besuchen, um hier zu arbeiten oder zu leben, dass die Sprache lernen.
Yes.
Was ist die größte Herausforderung gewesen damals bei African Heritage? What is one of your major challenges back then when you were working with African Heritage?
The very important challenge was the coming together from different lands, yeah, mainly from South Africa. We had a very high population of friends and people coming from Ghana. As a matter of fact, today, Ghana still hosts the highest population. But imagine then, yes, this population of people, and at that time there wasn't so much of information to be found. And having African heritage with people who were professionals here and students, African students, professors, we all came together to tribute to the cause for the African in this city.
So, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, es war eher organisatorisch die Herausforderung, alle Leute zusammenzubringen, die Professoren, die Lehrer, natürlich die Eltern und alle Leute, dass die Programme zusammen organisieren, um die Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft zu unterstützen in alle Möglichkeiten. Exactly. Ja, in dieser Arbeit in Amerika haben Sie auch sehr viel gemacht mit der Herausforderung, als schwarz zu sein da. Yes. So, ich bin sehr froh, dass Sie noch gesund sind und hier in Hamburg leben. Wir kommen wieder, ich sag dir, you know, dear, because she's like a mentor to me also. Thank you very much, first of all. And Jonah, if you had a question for her.
Right.
You know, you've only been here, how many years have you been here?
About 3.5 years.
Okay, 3,5 Jahre warst du schon hier. Du bist ein Star-Sänger, Aida. Eigentlich ein Wunsch von dir ist, die ganze Welt zu erobern, sozusagen mit deinen Gesangstalenten. You wanted to travel.
Right.
That was one of your dreams that you've been able to fulfill.
That's right.
And if you had a question or two for an elderly lady like Iris, who's been here so long, what would it be?
For the beautiful, young, elderly Miss Lady Iris, I wanted to ask you a question. Being a woman of color, coming to Germany for one of the first African Americans in Germany, have you seen a change in time where people see you differently? Do they see you with more respect? Do they not have this hatred in their eyes when they see somebody that's not like them? How do you... Is time changing in Germany for a person of color?
Also die klare Frage, hat die Zeiten sich geändert? Ist es weniger Hass, mehr Respekt? Wie ist der Unterschied zwischen damals, als du hier gekommen bist, und jetzt? Good question.
Very good question, and I appreciate it, because there are different levels to your question. You see, when I first came to Germany, I didn't see anyone looking like me. And I went through that period, yes, with many experiences. Then coming to Hamburg, getting right away into the social system of Hamburg and the people, I met that at a different level. It was very taxing and quite an experience, because at that time, the problem was very high, whereby we had refugees appearing, and there was this story of Lübeck, where African heritage went to the cause.
What happened there in Lübeck where several people, it was
nine
attacked.
People were burned alive.
Right.
Yes.
Because of their skin color. And specifically with you, when people first saw you, back to his question, when you saw in their eyes,
well,
there was, oh my goodness, what is that? Did you get verbal? Were you verbally assaulted at all?
Ever?
I know when you're from the time, is there, the question is basically, you know, when you first came here several years ago, You know, were you ever verbally assaulted with the, you know, with the N word or with whatever situation? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, I understand. But the
And is there a difference from then till now?
Well, at the very beginning, no, I had no experience with abusive language at the very beginning. Remember, I was the only one I ever saw of myself, okay? And then I went into show business also.
Yeah,
That's
so people are a bit different.
A bit different.
Okay, so erstmal hatten Sie keine Probleme?
It happened, I would say, in the most recent time, where I faced this in a bus, a local bus, with a woman perhaps older than myself who wanted my seat in the bus. And I said, well, there's a seat opposite me, so you sit there. And that's where she used this absurdity to me. So that told me something's changing here. And I would say there's an escalation today. There's more aggressiveness, there's more hatred in these present times.
Hoffentlich habe ich dich gut verstanden. Also damals eher, okay, ja, die Leute haben ein bisschen geguckt vielleicht, sie war eine von den wenigsten Leuten mit afrikanischer Herkunft. Aber über die Jahre, und viele Leute vergessen oder nicht wissen nicht, dass Flüchtlinge war immer ein Thema in Europa. Refugees were always a theme here. There's always been an in and out flux of migrants and immigrants in Europe. Aber mit ihrer Erfahrung war eher neulich, wenn sie in einem Bus saßen und eine deutsche Frau wollte ihren Sitz haben. Und wenn Iris diesen Satz nicht abgeben wollte, hat sie verbal was hören müssen, der nicht so positiv war. Vielen Dank. And now you, 3.5 years, okay?
That's right.
You're also in the entertainment business, and a lot of people take the opportunity to learn English, so you might not get that much. And when one looks at you, you have a multi-heritage background.
Right,
Du hast eine multikulturelle Hintergrund, also Mischung aus afrikanischer Herkunft, italienische, Spanish, also unfaire Portion von tolle Sachen is an unfair portion of all the things that that we're about. A lot of people also would love to believe that all people from Africa are very, very dark-skinned. From all different parts of the continent. We have ohne without being mixed with people of European descent. Die sind unterschiedliche Hautfarben überall in Afrika. Das musste man noch mal sagen. And what about your experience? Are you having a good time? Are you having a challenging time because of your heritage?
Well, there's a bit of both, you know. I always try to see the positive outcome in everything. Recently, I'm living now in Blankenese, so in that area is nice, a nice area. And then when it gets darker at nighttime, you know, people look at me and they're not sure what they see. They look at me at least like twice or 3 times and go, "What are you?" And then they just stare at me, and I'm just like, keep on looking, you know. I just respond with a smile because it's, you know, they don't mean harm, I hope. They just see me and they're just curious. You know, they either see, you know, either black or white. They don't see the gray in between. And sometimes, you know, and having me around, you know, it's like a little spice up too.
Ich bin mir sicher, dass alle junge Frauen, diese junge Mann wissen, er wohnt in Blankenese und manchmal unterwegs, zum Beispiel nachts, die Leute, hast du gesagt, wenn ich es richtig verstanden habe, die gucken dich an und dann nochmal gucken, was bist du eigentlich? Also für dich, die sehen vielleicht schwarz oder weiß und die sehen nicht diese so heiß graue Fläche.
Right.
Und natürlich, weil du positiv bist, versuchst du mit einer positiven Energie, einfach mit einem Lächeln.
That's right.
Okay, was würdest du sagen, ist dein größtes Anliegen für Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft, spezifische African Americans? What would you say that your largest concern is for people of African descent, especially people of African American descent? What is your main concern? What would you like to see happen? What is your main topic of interest?
Right, my main topic of interest is not to be afraid, you know. The fear needs to go away for us to move forward. You know, there's this fear of pushing us down to not let us rise up to the top, you know. In regards to school, my mother's a teacher. You know, and she sees it every day. You know, people of color are not succeeding because they're taught that they're not going to go far. They're taught that they are going to stay in the area of the Bronx or wherever they're from, and they're just going to rot there. They cannot grow up. They cannot succeed, and then it cannot accomplish their dreams.
Is this coming from the teachers?
This is coming
Or from the government, what would you say?
Oh, it's a good question.
Yeah, because this is a concern of all of us who are from America, especially with those of us who have experienced any kind of separatism or segregational situation. I lost that one word. But there's, if the expectation, say from a teacher, is low, of course the student doesn't have a higher self-expectation for themselves.
Right.
So what would you say to these people, to the young people who might experience from counselors, from teachers, from the people in the community who are not encouraging them? What would you say to the young people? How can they motivate themselves?
It has to come from within, really. It's like the song, The Greatest Love of All. If you can't find it in someone else, find it within yourself.
How did you do it? It's easy to say.
Right.
But how did you do it?
Oh, I went through lots of struggles, really, with
Tell me about
identifying
one.
myself. I didn't know what was I white? Was I black? Was I somewhere in between? I couldn't really enjoy my skin color.
Did you do research on any of the backgrounds? Tell me about one specific
Yeah,
thing.
I did research on my background. I realized that my grandfather is of African descent, which I felt like, okay, things are coming up. Things are making sense now, you know? And I decided to not be ashamed of what I am as a mix, because I believe that I am what the world is supposed to be, you know, a mixed race of love and of people. You know, we are the human race. We're not a race of white, black, you know, Asian. We're just one race of human. We're love. We're supposed to spread love, not hate. You know, this world is taught so much hatred. We forget why we're living.
Okay, so eigentlich die Lektion, was deine Meinung ist, dass wir lernen mehr von Angst und und was wir nicht schaffen können. Und dein Rat für die Jugendliche war, in sich zu gehen und zu sehen, okay, wie kann ich mich selber finden und selber ausbilden. Und das hast du gemacht, angefangen zu recherchieren, dass dein Großvater zum Beispiel mit afrikanischer Descent, und dann hast du die anderen Seiten, und dann weiterhin viel Glück mit deinem Such für sich. You know, much luck to you to find yourself and continue to do so. Even your presence on this show right now is representative of what can be, and to be the best that you can be, and we wish you the best with that.
Thank you very much.
I just want to read a quote that's, it's just so many things that we have to do. There's too much history, and I encourage all of you watching television, ich herausfordere euch, die Fernsehen gucken, nicht von uns zu lernen, sondern von uns inspirieren zu lassen, weil sie müssen selber in Internet gucken, in Bücher gucken und in sich gehen und recherchieren. Diese große Geschichte von African American History, from African History. Wir sind seit Tag 1 da auf die Welt gewesen, haben uns ausgebreitet und haben immer noch viel die Welt zu geben. Aber ich habe eine ganz tolle Quote, dass man sich als Mensch zufriedener fühlt, wenn man in dem Land, in dem man wohnt, zu einem akzeptiert wird oder akzeptiert fühlt und zum anderen auch selbst Frieden schließen mit diesem Land. Okay, so that means, of course, if you want to be feeling comfortable and feel free in a country, you want the people who live there, if you're a visitor, if you're a foreigner, that the people accept you. But you have to find freedom. What's the word that you have to find a way to accept the situation of the land that you're in, of the country that you're in. You have to come to grips with the country that you're in. It's not just the people who have to accept you. You have to accept the land first. And be satisfied with that. That means, of course, like Iris encourages continually, learn the culture, accept at least, learn the language slowly but surely. Accept how they are. Even I was watching some videos recently, Marshall, about how Germans saw themselves. And what I got from this video is they see themselves as very organized, very much on point, very much on time. And someone went in front of the camera, yes, control freaks, they like to control things. But at heart, they're very nice people. What's your impression of Germany and German people since you've been here as an African-American actor, singer, songwriter? The one time when I met him, and then I was watching in one of those movies, and I saw him in a scene. I was like, oh my God, he's the barbershop, barbershop with Ice Cube.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you've been there, done that, but you still keep your feet on the ground. Du hast deine Füße noch ganz doll gut eingepflanzt in die Erde. Yes, you have. And you are here now. And what was your first impression then, and how is it now, or the almost 5 years that you've been here?
Well, this is the beginning of my 5th year living in Hamburg, but my first experience of Germany was 20 years ago. But since living here, the culture is a little different than in America, but there is a very common thread or commonality through to all human beings, which is one of the great things about traveling. I find that my personal experience with my friends and people that I've met is that there's a great humanity among people, the German people here, very family-oriented, and they love their dogs, and their children. I mean, there's extremely family-oriented, but at the same time, as you mentioned, they love their paperwork, and they are very specific about things. I think that I see it reflected also in America in different ways, but there's a mentality or a cultural habits and traditions that are very German that I still have to adjust to in certain.
Would it be the control part of it, or
not
I don't
really?
want to put
Not really.
One?
It's like it's little things that sometimes you might not even notice, but just walking down the street or how people interact with each other is I have to adjust, because at first I thought I took certain things personal, but then I saw that it wasn't personal. It's a culture of the way people are, where generally, and this is just my observation, I have a difficult time looking at someone else and just generally greeting or saying hello. And it's like there's a wall that they're very scared to let down.
Okay, we just have a few minutes before you're going to sing your first song, Even If.
Yeah.
Und deine Beobachtungen sind eigentlich, die deutschen Leute sind ähnlich wie die Leute in Amerika. Die sind familienorientiert, die lieben dessen Hunde.
Ja.
Ja, aber natürlich, wie vorher gesagt, die lieben Ordnung und so. Aber eine Herausforderung ist für dich, wenn man auf die Deutsche zukommt, ist es, als ob eine kleine Wand da für man steht und nicht so offen wie afrikanische Herkunft, wo man vielleicht eine Begrüßung kommt. Ja, und daran könnte man natürlich weiter.
Aber
yes.
I must say that once you've made a friend,
Yes.
It's
Loyalität.
Oh my God.
Ja, das ist die andere tolle Seite. Deshalb sind wir, glaube ich, alle in Deutschland geblieben. Also es gibt Gründe, wieso wir Amerika oder Afrika verlassen haben, aber es gibt auch natürlich Gründe, wieso man in einem Land bleibt. Und bei Deutschland ist es so. Ein ganz toller Punkt ist, dass wenn man eine Freundschaft geschlossen ist, dann ist das loyal. Eine Loyalität, ich weiß nicht, wie das ist in anderen Ländern. Das finde ich auch ganz, ganz toll.
Und,
ja?
I find also, in comparison to the American experience, most Germans, in my experience here, are very straightforward, and you always know what they mean.
Ja, genau.
They
Und das
mean
sagen
what
die
they
Deutschen
say.
über sich selbst. Die sind sehr direkt und manchmal brutal direkt. Und damit kann man leben, wenn man weiß genau, mit was man zu tun hat. In America, the other side of the racism is that you look at someone and they smile in your face all the time. They want to take your face.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying here with Africa Outlook. My motto today is, if you uplift Africans, you are uplifting humanity. And we're going to continue this segment. To my very far left, we have Rochelle Blake joining us from LA. And I'm looking forward, we're going to talk in a moment. I just want to introduce further Randall Hutchins from an area by Detroit, Michigan, USA. And to my very far right, we have Erica Bonner Zyfried. Yes. I got it right.
You did.
Thank you so much for being here. We figured out with the pre-interview that we're somehow all connected. Mm-hmm. You have never met Iris, has been here for over 40 years. You just moved on the same street.
Yes.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Marshall and Randall have a wonderful project together. You and Erica are involved with American Women's Club in Germany.
Yes.
And of course, I have a connection to all of you. This is how it is, especially with people of African descent. We try to keep connected. But one of the concerns that we all have is that we have so many talents, but we don't always work together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from, Rochelle? And what are you doing to assist the people of color to make that a better situation?
Yes, I mean, that's something that I encounter almost daily. And I come from the business world. I come from a clinical world by background. I'm in healthcare IT, Gesundheit IT, information technology. And it's not a very popular industry for African Americans, for Africans. But I find that we're disconnected, especially in Germany, especially in Hamburg. We don't have a lot of connections within the business world, within even healthcare, and especially not within information technology. I have a personal interest and a drive and a goal to really bring together business community, business opportunities, especially looking at women, women of color within African communities. I believe in mentoring and giving back. I've been in this industry around 30 years.
30 Jahre aus Gesundheits-, Informational Technology.
Ja, genau.
Und dein Ziel ist eigentlich, dass mehr Leute von afrikanischer Herkunft zusammenarbeiten, besonders in den Business, Gesellschaft, bist du tätig die ganze Zeit und am liebsten Frauen empowern, Frauen zu empowern, in diese Business zu kommen. Ja. Es ist eigentlich witzig, finde ich, dass eine von den größten Problemen für Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft ist Healthcare, ist Gesundheit. Ja. Und wir sind nicht tätig da drin. Wir sind immer für Handouts da, wir wollen Hilfe, aber selber sich in diese Branche auszubilden, ist nicht so oft. Why did you get involved in the medical business side of it?
I mean, I guess from a child, I've always wanted to be in healthcare. I wanted to be a doctor. I ended up being a physician assistant early on, so I mean, it's pretty much being a doctor in many ways. It's a mid-level professional. So I was actually involved in care delivery, but I actually wanted more. And I was very interested in computer technology. It's funny, when we're all sitting around, we all have our iPads and our iPhones and our technology. So I wanted to be able to bring some of that healthcare to technology and some of that technology to the masses, to patients and to
schon
providers.
Als Kind waren Sie, Sie wollte gerne ein Arzt werden und war Arztassistent sozusagen für mehrere Jahren. Und diese Technologie, was wir auch hinter Kulissen immer mit iPads, iPhones und die zusammenzubringen.
Genau. And as you said, this kind of technology and being able to integrate this really does allow, especially when you look at communities such as women, it allows them to be able to be empowered, to utilize some of these things that they may not have thought could be possible, to not just use them as communication devices, of course they're great for that, but to use them in ways that they never have seen possible before. For example, to build a career, to start building a career. So it's great to be a nurse. Let's take a conventional job that, let's say, a young woman might look and aspire to. I'd love to become a nurse. But but being a nurse is great, but let's just say you have those skills as a nurse. Couple those with technology skills, with what we call informatics. Really give them some great skills in terms of being able to not just use computers, but to be able to use things like clinical decision support. Being able to take that into an operating room, being able to take that into practice and being able to teach others and teach doctors and be able to bring patients within their homes to be able to use that technology to say help monitor their own blood pressures and see trends when things are developing so they can proactively treat diseases instead of waiting for healthcare to come and the cost to go up, and getting Africans involved in work like that, that's groundbreaking.
So deine größte Interesse ist Afrikaner, die Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft, mehr interessiert. Nicht nur, also schön als Krankenschwester sich ausbilden zu lassen, aber dann mehr über die Technologie zu verstehen und ausbilden lassen, sodass man die Ärzte mehr assistieren können, auch zu Hause Blutdruck selbst messen oder technologische Equipment besser selbst zu bedienen und nicht erwarten, dass jemand dir hilft. Und eine richtige Karriere von dieser IT aufzubauen. Und das magst du denn. Du magst auch seit über 30 Jahren. Also, wow. What brought you to Europe? Of course, in America, culturally, America is what it is. Do you see in your work field differences between being a woman of African descent in America and your few years that you've been in Europe, specifically in Hamburg, Germany? What are some of the parallels or major differences?
Yeah, and I come from, although I was born in Los Angeles, grew up in the LA area. Most recently, I come from San Francisco. Lived there for 10 years, so I came from Silicon Valley, and that's actually how I came to Germany. They were really looking for Silicon Valley type companies to come to Germany, and I was a member.
Is there you have an expertise there in this area in Silicon Valley?
That's where my company just happened to be from.
Okay, so zufällig hast du da gearbeitet und die hatten Interesse in Deutschland, in Hamburg.
Yeah, and so they came.
So eigentlich warst du eingeladen.
For investments, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I mean, they said, Germany is a good place to come and bring your business. So I thought, why not? Let's see if it's a good place to come and do this. I wasn't believing of it, but I decided.
Did you start working with people who spoke English, or did you work directly with Germans right away?
I really started speaking with people who spoke English, which has been difficult for me because the language is very difficult to learn.
The people that spoke English or spoke German?
The people that spoke English, because they're wanting to speak English.
Exactly, that does make it difficult to learn the language.
It really
sometimes.
does. It does.
Okay.
But that's how I came, and
but you're celebrating something very important that we want to get out. You've just with your daughter. Tell us about that. This is a wonderful, groundbreaking. Congratulations.
Yes, so 2 really major milestones have happened within the past month. One, we just became a GmbH, which is a German corporation, which is unbelievable. We were a UG, which is a mini corporation, but we just became an official GmbH. So this is pretty groundbreaking for us. And we also just entered into a contract with the European Commission with some consortium members. So we started an 18-month contract with the European Commission, and it's exciting because it's for workforce development. So we're here, our goal is to help create new jobs in healthcare IT.
Neue Entwicklung mit Gesundheitsarbeit, neue Karriere, neue Möglichkeiten für Leute in diese Interesse, und für dich natürlich schwarze Frauen, bitte Leute, Frauen mit afrikanischer Herkunft, zeig Interesse, und den Namen haben die gesehen bei dir, vielleicht kann man dich kontaktieren, sozusagen.
Super.
Okay, wir haben 2 weibliche Stimmen gehabt, jetzt werden wir dann bei Randall ein bisschen anfangen. Okay, you are an amazing person. You've come here from Michigan. You started out with your career singer, songwriter, director from some of the major groups, gospel, R&B, segueing into having written the musical Hope before even Obama was finished with his candidacy. A wonderful, so you have multi-talents as a creative person, but you've always been interested in history, especially African history, and also theology. So for me, you're one of the most intelligent people that I've known in many years. But specifically now, you're leaning towards developing awareness for the economical stability for people of African descent. You want to expound on that for us?
Yeah, we are in a precarious situation historically for probably the last 500 years globally, not just in Germany or Africa or even America. In fact, on every level is this dynamic, and the disparity in wealth and income is present, even at the top levels. As a matter of fact, it's more of a disparity at the top levels, despite the effort to raise the awareness of black millionaires and billionaires in the world. There are very few, actually.
Es gibt sehr wenige Millionäre, die mit afrikanischer Herkunft in der Welt. Aber ja,
genau.
Aber das ist eine globale Herausforderung, nicht nur für Deutschland oder für Amerika oder für Afrika.
Genau.
Du arbeitest und willst die die Awareness. Oh God, the word is driving. Ja, die Vorstellung, die Verständnis von überall. Es ist eine globale Aufmerksamkeit. Danke, Erika. Von allem diese finanzielle Entwicklung. Das hat über die letzten 500 Jahre richtig gefehlt.
Yeah, and in fact, in the world, for example, there are about 1,636 billionaires in the world. And of those 1,600 billionaires, only 11 are Afro people.
Von 1600 Billionaires.
Yes.
Das ist ein Unterschied zwischen
1,600 billionaires.
Ja, Billionaires. Ja, von 1600 Billionaires, das ist Milliardärs, es ist confusing auf Deutsch. Es gibt nur 11. Aus dieser großen Menge gibt es nur 11 Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft.
Ja, ehrlich.
Und der Grund dafür, and the reason, why do you think?
Well, historically, there's been a separation from the wealth of Afro people, from their inherent wealth, by circumstances.
Ja, geschichtlich, die Geschichte.
Europe and America.
Und die Leute sollen bitte diese.
Slavery was a big part of it.
Ja, genau.
And even in the richest country in the world, the U.S., we have this blaring disparity. In America, there are over 500 billionaires. There are about 532 billionaires in America. And of those 532 billionaires, only 3 are African American.
Okay. Natürlich, wir können nicht eine ganze Geschichte erzählen hier, meine liebe Leute, die jetzt zuschauen. Bitte, ich empfehle euch bitte richtig unterschiedliche Quellen zu benutzen für die Geschichte von Africans, weil das versteht man, wieso finanziell ist es nicht ausgeglichen. Es gibt mehrere Gründe, keine Ausrede dafür, sondern es ist gegründet, wieso wenige Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft den Reichtum genießen können. Und aus der 532 Billionaires in Amerika gibt es nur 32, glaube ich, habe ich richtig verstanden, oder sehr wenig.
Nur 3.
Nur 3, nicht 30, nur 3.
Yeah,
wow, that's disproportionate, like you say. But tell us about your organization is called?
Right now we are operating as the Network Project. And there's an effort among a growing number of people to form a corporation that will act as an institution of leadership to help guide us into a higher level of working together, because this is our greatest challenge, to be able to work together in the business world.
Immer wieder diese Herausforderung, zusammenzuarbeiten.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is, And this is something that other cultures naturally do on a very high level. You know, the Jewish community is very strong at this, working together.
Chinesische.
And Chinese communities. In Germany specifically, you have the Turkish community is very, very strong.
Wenn ich das kurz sagen darf, also wieder erwähnt, dass die Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft zusammenarbeiten sollen. Die Leute mit jüdischer Herkunft, die Leute mit chinesischer Herkunft, die Leute mit türkischer Herkunft, so viele unterschiedliche Länder arbeiten zusammen und erschaffen dessen Ziele. Aber okay, wie gesagt, begründet von unserer Geschichte, wieso wir einander nicht vertrauen, aber deine Arbeit geht wieder zu verstehen und zu vertrauen und dass wir wieder unseren Platz finden können. Richtiger Platz, geehrter Platz sozusagen.
Yeah, and this dynamic is very interesting because we have several Afro communities around the world that come out of Africa, but they tend to congregate and have a certain amount of community as a nation, but not as a people. And Africa, of course, is not a nation. It is a continent. And despite the fact that they're all one people.
Ja, es gibt diese eine Quote, was es genau auf Deutsch sagt, also wie die Afro-Community kann weiter daran arbeiten, eine gemeinsame Community zu bilden.
Genau,
ja, es ist schön, in eine nigerische Kirche zu gehen oder eine ghanaische Aktivitäten und südafrikanische zum Beispiel, aber natürlich besser ist, dass wenn wir zusammenarbeiten. Also das wissen wir alle. Deshalb sage ich, weiter daran arbeiten. And so your part of it is bringing all of these different professionals together.
Yes, to create a platform that will allow Afro people to ascend higher into society and break certain barriers in the business world that still exist, like these financial disparities. And they exist, they continue to exist because of the inequity of opportunity, access to capital, and access to debt. And if we work together, then we can extend our ability to access debt amongst ourselves, and because debt is still given. When we say debt, we're talking about access to lending.
Ja, wenn du in Schulden darüber sprichst, das heißt die Möglichkeit, um Geld zu leihen, auszugeben, zu leihen. So eigentlich spätestens nächstes Jahr 2017 fängst du an mit Projekten, um das bekannt zu machen. Was hast du vor nächstes Jahr, um diese ganzen Ideen unter einen Schirm zu bringen? You start latest 2017 to make this awareness for the general public. What are your plans?
Yeah, we actually start the nuts and bolts. We will be starting at GmbH in 2017. And we will begin our first project, our first business project, which will be the Black Gospel, the American Gospel Workshop. It's a national workshop organization for gospel. And this will be not only German, but throughout the total diaspora or region of Central Europe.
So überall in Europa kann man erwarten in 2017 der größte Gospel-Workshop.
Genau.
Das heißt, man wird über die Geschichte von Gospel lernen und du bist bestimmt der Hauptdirigent oder einer von den Hauptdirigenten. Aber überall in jedes Land in Zentraleuropa wird ein großer Gospel-Workshop stattfinden. Und das Geld natürlich dann ist sozusagen der Grundstein, um dieses Empire sozusagen aufzubauen, um weiter die Leute zu informieren, wie,
so there, out of this, many opportunities in other businesses will naturally flow, and we'll have the opportunity to offer work and employment and career opportunities to not just people,
Arbeitsmöglichkeiten.
genau,
Okay.
Not just to people of African descent, but to everyone, because our numbers are very small here in Germany. In fact, we're less than Afro people are less than 3% of the population here. So we're not going to be able to do anything without integration into our own projects. If we hope to achieve on par level business status in Germany or in Europe, we have to be integrated. However, we have to take the mantle, shoulder the responsibility of creating our own businesses, our own conglomerations, so that we maintain the ability to reduce the disparities and give fair opportunity.
Diese Skala zu reduzieren, mussten die Leute mit afrikanischer Herkunft eigene Firmen bauen, eigene Möglichkeiten bauen. Und das fängst du an. Spätestens viel Glück, das magst du schon, das weiß ich. Ich bin gespannt. Und ich wollte, bevor wir zu meiner letzten Gast für heute, und wir haben nur 5-6 Minuten noch, aber das klären wir, wollte sagen, dass das ist nur Part 1, das ist nur Teil 1 von einer langen Reihe von Afrika Outlook Shows, die mehr informieren über die Geschichte von afrikanischer Herkunft und unsere afrikanischen Beiträge in unser schöner Planet. So stay tuned, es gibt so viel zu erzählen. And if we uplift and we inform people about the African heritage and find our rightful places in the history books, then that only uplifts and inspires and continues to develop the world, because we are such an integral part of the history which has been denied us that spot. So this is not, I'm against Germans or I'm against people of European descent. It's just that we need to be represented properly in the history. Yes, restored. Miss Erica Vanna Seifried, nice that you're here. You went to a traditionally black college, Spelman College, and you were also in the Utrecht College in is that in Holland?
In Holland,
exactly.
In the Netherlands, I got my
so you
MA.
have an education from all over. What would you say, just tell us in your own words, of course, between America, the Netherlands, and Germany, being a sister, what were some of your experiences that parallel and that were very different between the three countries?
I would say...
Und kannst du bitte gerne auf Deutsch sprechen, wenn es geht?
Ja, ich versuche das ganz nur auf Deutsch zu erklären. Ich bin in Europa seit 2000. Erstmal in Utrecht habe ich meine Masterarbeit dort gemacht. Und was für mich vielleicht klarer hier in Deutschland ist als in Holland, ist, dass ich bin zuerst oder auf der ersten Stelle amerikanisch. Die sehen mich als eine Amerikanerin mit genauso viele Sprachwissenschaft oder Sprachfähigkeit als alle anderen. Und das war für mich anders. Obwohl ich an einer African American Uni studiert habe, war es immer so in Amerika, dass ich war erst als schwarz oder dunkelhautig erstmal gesehen. Und hier in Europa war das für mich neu, als Amerikaner erstmal gesehen zu sein. Und ehrlich gesagt muss ich sagen, dass hier in Europa insgesamt, aber besonders in Deutschland, ist es das, eigentlich der Mensch selbst zuerst. Man ist, oder von meiner Erfahrung, man ist erstmal a person, a human being, eine Seele hier auf der Erde, und dann kommt weibliche Sachen, hautfarbige Sachen und so weiter. Und das ist für mich ein bisschen neu, weil ich bin African American, aber hier in Europa muss ich sagen, auf der ersten Stelle bin ich amerikanisch, Amerikanerin. Und
ja, das ist schön.
Das ist schön, genau. Und das
schön.
ist ein Stolz, das ich erstmal hier zeigen kann.
Ja, genau. Und ich finde, du hast es auch vorher gesagt und bin sehr stolz auf dein Lächeln, ganz schön. Und auch ein bisschen immer afrikanisch sozusagen. Wir sind alle, wir zeigen uns, wie wir uns am besten fühlen. Also die Haare,
auf jeden Fall.
Die Krone, da afrikanische Beats und so. Ja, genau.
Es gehört zu mir.
Über die Jahre, wo du hier warst, große Unterschiede zwischen der Anfangszeit hier und heute. Iris vorher hat gesagt, sie ist über 40 Jahre hier. Sie meinte, es wird eigentlich aggressiver. Was ist das für dich?
Ja, leider. Ich wollte das nicht das Gegenteil sagen, aber
ja, aber
für
es
mich,
ist deine Meinung. Ich
ja,
möchte
genau,
gerne
für
das
mich
wissen.
ist es, nein, das finde ich nicht so. Ich war früher in Schwabenland, muss ich zugeben, und da ist es ein bisschen, es ist sehr anders. Hier in Hamburg, man kommt in ein Gespräch bei einer Bushaltestelle oder irgendwo. Und meine Erfahrungen bisher sind immer gut gewesen. Bis auf Kinder müssen immer sagen, ja, manchmal kommt Schimpfworte aus bei Kindern, ehrlich. Mehr
Jugendliche, nicht Kinder, so eher so young, auch
ich
Kinder.
meine ganz kleine Kinder.
Oh, das ist noch schlimmer, weil dann natürlich, dann weiß man, wenn das der Kind das sagt, dann sind die Eltern auch die gleiche Meinung.
Vielleicht, weil ich auch ein kleines Kind habe. Mein Sohn ist erst 7, aber ich merke immer wieder, dass ich muss was erklären für die Kinder in seinem Alter und auch wenn er jünger war.
Zum Beispiel.
Ich weiß nicht, ob ich das auch...
Ja, natürlich, ja, du darfst alles jetzt
mit
sagen.
Hautfarbe.
Ja.
Neulich hat ein Kind hat zu mir gesagt, mein Sohn ist
Bitte sag das.
Deutsch und African American, und das Kind hat gesagt, ich bin eine Kakawurst. Und habe ich gesagt, oh, das ist beleidigend. Ich weiß, dass du hast das nicht so gemeint, aber das ist beleidigend. Und es gibt andere Sachen, die auch braun sind. Es gibt Schokolade, es gibt Erde, es gibt Nüsse, es gibt bla. Du kannst das anders ausdrücken. Und er war ein bisschen schockiert. Und ich muss noch mal mit seiner Mutter sprechen.
Ja, es klingt, als ob wir haben noch Arbeit zu tun. Und ich glaube, also ich bin der Meinung, deshalb habe ich euch eingeladen. Vielen Dank, dass ihr hier gewesen seid, weil ich habe natürlich, wie wir alle wissen, wenn man ignorant ist oder über irgendwas nicht weiß, dann hat man Angst dafür.
Genau.
Und dann, die Reaktion ist natürlich aggressiv, aber hauptsächlich wissen wir alle, die Deutschen sind good at heart. Und was man nicht weiß, da muss man sich informieren lassen.
Genau.
I thank you so much for being here, part 1 of the African American experience in Hamburg, Germany, in the world and in Europe. Vielen Dank, dass Sie hier bei uns waren, bei Africa Outlook. Please continue to uplift, as the young man Jonah said, yourselves. Okay, man muss erstmal sich upliften sozusagen. Man kann nicht erwarten, dass jemand das für uns machen. And stay well.